Ini meniga sekali sagu sele biro hou baga. Meniga miaswa pia uzugo miwa someko abia nama sadi sa. Nata di lubi loga ma yang wana ni jinga atuk kere ajin lansin ha. ဖြောက်မှန်တဲ့အကျင့်လမ်းစဉ်ပါပဲအဲ့ဒါကိုဒီနေ့ပြောရမယ်
Dada will continue to talk on, to elaborate on the Buddha's words which you heard yesterday. In his answer to the Deva, the Buddha said, the practice that you did when you were a monk, that is the straight path that will lead you to the safe haven you are looking for.
Dhamma so me kho yi wa thu ajin lan sin soda thu soda nyun ja da ga lu bwa ga ajin me ko nyun ja da ai di ajin me ma tu ye gung yi tu ya ba shi de lo so do uchuka soda phyaw ne man ne bo ကောက်ကောက်ကိုကိုမရှိဘူးဆိုတဲ့အဓိပ္ပာယ်ပေါ့ဒါပေါ့ဘယ်ဟာတွေကကောက်ကောက်ကိုကိုတရားတွေလဲဆိုတာနည်းနည်းသရုပ်ထုတ်ပြီးတော့ပြောပါမယ်
That path is the straight one. That path refers to, of course, the Eightfold Noble Path that this Deva walked on when he was a bhikkhu, when he was still a human being. And the Buddha qualified this path by the adjective, a straight one. What is meant by straight? The path is straight in the sense that there are no side tracks. It doesn't go curving or bending or wriggling. It just leads straight on to Nibbana. This quality of straightness will be further elaborated.
Magi Shiva Jendaya Chokmane Kung Shibo Shimabiagi Shivuzwa Dusia Seva Yobiasi Lurema Soware Go Muya Soware No Muya Soware Saini Saitawani Dusrita Diari Shini သူတော်ကောင်းတွေအမြင်နဲ့ကတော့မဖြောက်မှန်ဘူးလို့ဒီလိုမြင်ပါတယ်
Firstly, in order to understand this virtue of straightness of the path, Sada would like to talk about the 10 types of unwholesome behavior. If a person is not tamed with respect to these 10 types of unwholesome behavior, manifested through action, speech and mind, then in the eyes of the wise, such a person is not straight, is not honest, not straight, not does not have moral integrity.
Sana nyata sei ne bi do a sin yin tu mashi bu so lo shi ye tattvaတွေကိုညှင်းဆဲတပ်ဖြတ်တဲ့သဘောပေါ်တယ်ဒေါသအလိုလိုက်ပြီးတော့ညှင်းဆဲတပ်ဖြတ်တာအဲ့ဒီလိုဆိုလို့ရှိရင်ကိုယ်အမူအရာဟာမဖြောက်မှန်တော့ဘူးမတန်ရှင်းတော့ဘူးအဲ့တော့သူတို့ဘာပိုင်တဲ့ပစ္စည်းကိုမတရားရယူလို့တဲ့လောဘနဲ့ခိုးမယ်တိုက်မယ်မတရားယူမယ်ဆိုလို့ရှိရင်လည်းဒါသူတို့ကောင်းနေအမြင်နဲ့မဖြောက်ကိုယ်မပိုင်တဲ့ကာမကိစ္စတွေမှာမောက်မှားပြုကျင်မယ်ဆိုလို့ရှိရင်လည်းပဲအဲ့ဒါလည်းပဲမဖြောက်မှန်ဘူးအဲ့ဒါကာယဝံကသူဆိုပါတယ်ကိုယ်မဖြောက်ညင်းကိုယ်မူရာမဖြောက်ညင်းအချုပ်ကတော့ကာယဒုစရိုက်၃ပါးဟာကာယဝံက၃ပါးလို့ခေါ်ပါတယ်
In the absence of metta and karuna, love and compassion, one can very easily succumb to one's feelings of aggression, of hate, by causing hurt to other people, by harming other beings, by killing, by oppressing, by committing atrocities that endanger life and cause much suffering. So too, if one is unable to control one's greed and give way to much desire, especially a very strong desire to possess another person's property by illegal means, by stealing, by robbing, by deceitful means, then again one would be regarded as a crooked person. One is not straight, one is not honest. This also applies to a person who is attacked by lust and who does not understand the meaning of consideration for other people's feelings. Such a person is only concerned with the gratification of his own sexual desires and commits adultery, doing things in a very secretive way and gratifying his sexual desires without any sense of consideration for other people who are connected to the partner of the person concerned. So these three types of unwholesome, immoral, physical behavior is sometimes called the crooked bodily behavior. It is a very crooked sort of behavior, which is obviously lacking in moral integrity, honesty.
Bira Wasi Wenga Tayasura Wasi Dusrai Liva. Any Wasi Dusrai Liva Leve Mamana Biora, Yandazaga Biora, Piro Janyantana, Yaim Biora, Piro Jomishi Zagari Biora, what it ma? Era Wasi Dusrai Liva. Eddie Zagari Johnny Lucy, no ha. My self, my no, Coco Kui, Pico no. And I was see when got the Aliva look how
Crooked speech refer to lies, to the speaking of words which cause disharmony among people, instigation to break up people's friendship and harmony, unity, fellowship, and so forth. Thirdly, speech that is hurtful, that is coarse and crude and perhaps obscene. Fourthly, speech that is not beneficial, frivolous talk, useless chatter. So if one indulges in these four types of unwholesome speech, then one is said to be possessed of crooked speech.
Manoinga Diasara, stick a coat diario. Say go Diasara Manodusra, Tongane. You were not Sashi Kirita, say Depin in a Kirita river. That's a go diary cover. Nodusra Tongwasara 2 by PC go Yalu at the ball. 2 by PC go a pine seal at the body. Go and be seen in a pine silura. Here are to the 2 tapias silure, the war, Javara. Kaunabi, Kaujumaya, Surabula, Sujamaya, Pudamia, Legave, Suravali. Tilo, Ayusa, Mahmana, Luemara body. Here am Nogan Toma, Minogan Toma, Pieni Lucy, Saitaha, Mapshamu. Pero legada mimi say sema Vipassana side Nibbana diary Shlomo Khania Pin illusion and I say time of show Chaja Kilitari Siguri Pin illusion and I let me show Adelo say Tama Pite Kilitari Manamia when no one got caught up. Sugar Manodu say Tombane, say Tapin in a kitty that he Manamia Gorunda Mano at the Ariba.
The 3 types of unwholesome mental behavior refer to covetousness, the desire to possess other people's property, to covet others' property. And second is to have thoughts of aggression, wanting to cause hurt and harm, wanting to kill other people, other beings. The third is harboring wrong view with regards to the law of karma. One does not believe and does not accept the law of karma, and adopts the attitude that whatever good or bad that one does, one's actions will not bring about correspondingly good or bad consequences, results. These are the three unwholesome mental behavior, three types of unwholesome mental behavior. In addition to these, there are of course the 5 hindrances which mere assault a person, as well as the remainder of the kilesas. These three unwholesome mental behavior, and three unwholesome types of mental behavior, as well as the remainder of the kilesas, are grouped under the category of the crooked mind. If one's mind is assaulted by any of these mental states, such a person is not straight, is not honest. Such a person is said to be crooked, to be possessed of a crooked mind.
Lanzo Langauti, do say the Ashini Nebukuha Lanzo Langauti shall need a Lanzo Langauti shall need a Lengame Chausia Bedi Makim of Shady Makim of Kua Matiara, Piruta Matiara, Pia Matiara, Sini Sitari Shini. Go Pico, easy, Messina me, take me the Ubo. Easy, Minadara, and since I did a car. Mimico, Mimi, Kuno Sita, Mapiamo. Coquable body, Pinable Drea, Amia, Mimi a 10 yana. Cuckoo, so swear. Do I be the Anikala Langau later Boguri? Time Chini, Suzuwa Miela, Helma, take one year. Oh, happy the other. Ah, Malay, do be Logama, the clear to Ruliniara, Tana Shinshin, Minigami, Gumuyari Sinjia, no Yari Sinjia, Sini Sitari Lemia Tetanja. Minigamida, Malay Legion, Saraboli. Go, a bit in a Chechen Bayside, a very less or Lango later.
One who is not free from these 10 types of unwholesome behavior as well as the remaining kilesas which constitute crookedness of mind, is said to be walking on the crooked path. One who is walking on the crooked path will not even be able to free himself from danger, not to talk of the destination of a safe haven. There is, first of all, the danger of self-judgment, the danger of remorse, of regret. When one commits all these, any or all of these unwholesome deeds, when one behaves in those unwholesome ways, one may not be aware of the unskillfulness of one's actions. One may not be aware of the unskillfulness of one's speech, of one's mental activities. However, there is always the possibility, and a very strong one too, that later on one would reflect on the bad things that one had done before, the bad things that one had said before, the unwholesome mental states, mental activities which one had indulged in before. At that time, one can be filled with remorse. One could be filled with a lot of self-judgment. Oh, I shouldn't have done that. That was a very stupid thing for me to do. And so forth. You begin to scold yourself. You begin to regret your past actions. And that very act of remorse, of regretting what you had done, of self-judgment, is very painful. It causes a lot of pain to arise within you. There's a lot of suffering. It's not that somebody is imposing that suffering upon you. You are creating that own suffering within yourself through this remorse, precisely because you had walked the crooked path. And instead of arriving at the safe haven, you are opening the doors to danger of suffering within yourself. And this is something very fearful, especially so during the last moments before death. When you're lying on your deathbed, there is a stream of consciousness prior to the moment of death, whereby you may have no control over it. You begin to recollect all those things that you have done before in your life, all those bad things. You are again filled with remorse and regret. Oh, how stupid I have been. Human life is so short, and yet I have not been able to live a life of moral integrity. I have not been able to make full use of my human life. I have not been able to live up to the high standard of a human being. But it is too late. The feeling of remorse and regret will overwhelm you, and you will die a very painful death. Painful in your heart, and you will cry, and who knows, some people suffer so greatly from such thoughts of remorse that they wail and cry and shout aloud, crying before death.
အဲ့ဒီလမ်းကောက်လိုက်တဲ့အခါကိုအဖြစ်တင်တဲ့အတ္တနုဝါဒဘေးတွေမဟုတ်ဘူးပရဏုဝါဒဘေးဆိုတာစိုက်တယ်ပညာရှိသူတော်ကောင်းတွေအထင်မြင်သိခံရလောကမှာလူပြီးရှုံးနေတဲ့ပုဂ္ဂိုလ်အကြည့်တန်ညစ်ပတ်နေတဲ့ပုဂ္ဂိုလ်ကိုလူကောင်းသူကောင်းတွေကအဖက်မလို့အတိအမှမပြုတ်ရတာလို့ထို့အတူပဲလူကောင်းသူကောင်းတွေရဲ့အတိအမှပြုခြင်းလည်းမခံရတော့အထင်မြင်သေးခြင်းပဲခံရတော့တာပဲအဲ့ဒီဘေးတစ်ခုလည်းပဲမကင်းဘူးဘာဖြစ်လို့လဲဆိုတော့သူကအဲ့ဒီကောနာဒုစရိုက်လမ်းကောက်တွေလိုက်တာ哦
နာဥပမာမှာပါ
ဟောလူကြီးရှုံးနေတဲ့ပုဂ္ဂိုလ်
လူကြီးရှုံးနေတာ
လူကြီးဆိုတာလူနဲ့တူအောင်မနေဘူးအပြည့်အနာစာတွေရှိနေတဲ့ပုဂ္ဂိုလ်လူကြီးအကြောက်တာကိုသူနဲ့ပေါင်းသိရမှာသူစိတ်ဒီအာကြီးတဲ့ပုဂ္ဂိုလ်ဆိုတာလူဖြစ်ရှုံးနေခေါ်တာပါ
Certainly, this self-judgment, self-blame and remorse is not the only danger for a person who walks on this crooked path. You will still have to contend with the danger of blame and censure of the wise, since he is so prone to immoral behavior. He will be held in very low esteem by the good-hearted, by the wise. He will be shunned by such people and will always be seen in the light of a misfit. Very much so, like people who are not civilized, maybe very wild, live in a society and yet is unable to abide by the conventions and laws of society in a civilized manner. Such a person will be shunned by society, will be branded a misfit. So too, a person who is unable to refrain from immoral behavior, from the 10 types of immoral behavior, will be regarded in the same light by the wise, by the good-hearted.
ပြီးတော့ဆိုရဥပဒေကခွင့်မပြုတဲ့ကိုနှုတ်အပြုမှုတွေပြုမှုမိလို့ရှိရင်လည်းပဲဆိုင်ရာအာဏာပိုင်တွေကဥပဒေနဲ့အေးအေးယူတော့တာပဲအဲ့ဒါလိုအေးအေးယူတဲ့အခါမှာထောင်ကျနိုင်လောက်တဲ့အမှုဆိုရင်ထောင်ကျမှာပဲပြီးတော့တေဇာတည်နေလောက်တဲ့အမှုဆိုလို့ရှိရင်လည်းပဲတေဇာတည်ရမှာပဲအဲ့ဒါလည်းမသက်သာဘူးအဲ့ဒီဘေးတွေစိုက်တော့တာပဲအဲ့ဒါဒန္တာဘေးခေါ်ပါတယ်ဘာဖြစ်လို့လဲဆိုတော့လမ်းကောက်လိုက်မိတာကိုခုကာလစိုးတည်နေတဲ့လူတွေကြည့်ပေါ့ကြာစုမှုတွေအမျိုးမျိုးပေါ့ဒီတစ်မျိုးပြီးတစ်မျိုးကျွလွန်နေတာတချို့လူသားမှုတွေဆိုထပ်ခါကျွလွန်နေတာအဲနောက်ဆုံးအစိုးရကဥပဒေနဲ့အေးအေးယူတဲ့အခါကျတော့သူတို့ဘာမှမတတ်နိုင်တော့အဲ့ဒီဘေးတွေလည်းစိုက်တော့တာပဲသူတို့တူတူတယ်မဟုတ်ဘူးသူသက်ဆိုင်ရာပုဂ္ဂိုလ်တွေလည်းပဲအကုန်လုံးစိတ်မချမ်းသာဖြစ်ကုန်တာပဲနော်အဲ့တော့လမ်းကောက်လိုက်လို့ရှိရင်ဘယ်လောက်အဖြစ်တည်ရတယ်လဲဆိုတာအတွေ့ရတာ
Following such a crooked path may also bring you to cross swords with the law, so to speak. There is no limit to the degree of immorality that one can find oneself in if one walks on this crooked path. If you break the law will get even with you. It's just a matter of time. You break the law, and when the lawmakers and the law enforcers are able to nab you, then you should have to pay for it. You have to pay a fine if it's a minor offense, and you may have to go to jail if it's a criminal offense. And even worse than that, if you commit a crime of murder, for example, of killing, then there might be capital punishment for you. This is of course something which is not unfamiliar to all of you. The world at the moment, the world at this present age is filled with violence, and there are innumerable cases of people who transgress the code of law, and not only once, innumerable times, that people go on a rampage of killing, of murdering, and finally, when the law catches up with them, they shall have to pay for it in terms of capital punishment. And this is very obvious that such a thing happens because that person had been walking on the crooked path. This is the danger of punishment.
တချို့ဥပဒေကိုပုံကွယ်ပြီးတော့ချိုးဖောက်နေတဲ့ပုဂ္ဂိုလ်တွေရှိတယ်။မကောင်းတဲ့ဒုစရိုက်တွေကျူးလွန်ပြီးတော့ရာဇဝတ်မှုတွေပေါ့လေ။အစိုးရကတိလို့အရေးယူတဲ့အခါမျိုးမှာဆိုရဥပဒေကလူမှုအခွင့်အရေးအပြည့်ပေးထားတာ哦အဲ့ဒါအခြေတည်ပြီးတော့အလွန်လိမ္မာပန်းတဲ့ရှင်းနေတွေနဲ့ဥပဒေကလွတ်အောင်ပေါ့လေအပြစ်ဒဏ်မခံရအောင်ပေါ့လေရှောက်လွဲလိုက်လို့လွတ်သွားတာမျိုးတွေလည်းရှိတော့ရှိတတ်ပါတယ်ဒါပေမဲ့လို့ကိုလှုပ်ထားတဲ့ဒုစရိုက်တရားတွေကမကောင်းတာပြုလို့ရှိရင်မကောင်းကျိုးရဆိုတဲ့အတိုင်းပေါ့လေနောက်တမလူရေးတွေးလိုက်လို့ရှိရင်မသက်သာဘူးဒီဒုက္ခတိဘေးကိုတော့ရှောင်လို့မရဘူးသူကတော့ကိုအပြစ်တင်တဲ့ဘေးနဲ့ဒုက္ခတိဘေးတော့ရှောင်လို့မရဘူးလိမ္မာပန်းလို့ပညာရှိသူတော်ကောင်းတွေမသိရအောင်ပုံကွယ်ပြီးတော့လုပ်တယ်ပုံကွယ်ပြီးတော့ဥပဒေချိုးဖောက်တယ်ပေါ့လေအဲ့ဒီနှစ်ခုကလွတ်နိုင်တယ်လို့ဆိုပေမဲ့လို့အတ္တနိဝရဒဘေးကြီးကမကင်းတယ်လို့ဒုက္ခတိဘေးကြီးကလည်းမကင်းဘူးအဲ့ဒီကြောက်စရာဘေးကြီးကလည်းဆိုက်လာတော့တာပဲဒီမှာဘာဖြစ်လို့လဲဆိုလို့ရှိရင်အဲ့ဒါကောက်ကွေ့တဲ့လမ်းကိုလိုက်လို့တဲ့ဒုစရိုက်တရားတွေကျူးလွန်လို့ဒါပါပဲ
Of course, it cannot be denied that if you're intelligent enough, you can get away with a crime. You can commit a crime legally. Some countries have got very good laws that give a lot of privileges to the defendant. And of course, there are many cases of which you must be very familiar of people who have committed a crime, and because of their intelligence and cunning, their craftiness, have been able to engage very suave lawyers to get them out of the difficult situation. They have been acquitted because maybe of insufficient evidence or because of some clause in a law somewhere, there's a loophole somewhere. Although one may escape punishment from the law, one cannot escape the danger of the states of misery. You may be safe this life, but bad karma once committed still has the potential to give its fruit, its results. If it's not possible to bear fruits this particular life, then it will follow you until it gets the opportunity to do so in another life in the future. One may be free from punishment, from legal punishment, but one cannot be free from self-punishment, from the remorse and regret that we talked about earlier, from self-judgment, from the suffering of knowing honestly that you did something wrong. No way that you can hide from this. You are your best witness. And why is it so? Why is it that one cannot escape from these two dangers, no matter what? The danger of self-blame, of remorse, and the danger of landing up in the states of misery. Precisely because one has walked on that crooked path that will bring you all these dangers.
Láng gạo lấy lu xiên nó, láng sụp lấy lu xiên nó, cháu xìa câu này bê à nè, nhưng mà một miếng nè, thuê vào cái đó, thì giờ là xong lâu tiếng lâu giờ không,
There's no escape. There's no way that you can shun the dangers that will fall upon you if you walk on this crooked path. Walking on the crooked path, walking on the confused path will bring about this variety of unwholesome results, these dangers.
Mấy cái chế ba mà đó, ấy câu quy thì ba mới chịu.
There is no crookedness at all in the Eightfold Noble Path.
Câu quy mới chịu ngay đó, mấy cái chế ba đấy mà, Ila mấy cái này ba này đấy, Samadhi mấy cái này ba này đấy, Pinya mấy cái này ba này đấy.
There is no crookedness in the Eightfold Noble Path because it comprises the group on morality, the group on concentration, and the group on wisdom.
Tila mấy cái đó, Samma Vacha, man zwa piao chin, chok man zwa piao chin. Piao zia chi lu xian le ma ma kan kan piao lu. Thì đó, xí giải sကားတွေပြောလို့ချိုးသားသားရင်ကြည်ကြည်ပြောလို့အကျိုးရှိတဲ့စကားတွေပြောလို့ပြောနေလို့ရှိရင်ဒါကောက်ကောက်ကွယ်ကွယ်ပြောတဲ့ဝစီတုစရိုက်၃ပါးကကင်းပြီးတော့နှုတ်ပြောဆိုဟာဖြောက်နေတာပဲဖြောက်နေတော့နှုတ်နဲ့ပတ်သက်တဲ့ကြောက်စရာဘေးတွေလှုပ်ခင်းသွားတယ်
Well, the first factor in the group on Sila is Samavacha, right speech. This of course refers to speaking that which is truthful, that which is conducive to harmony, to fellowship and unity, that which is not hurtful, which is kind and pleasant and sweet to other people's ears. And also that which is useful, not frivolous, but is beneficial to the listener. So if one is able to if one is able to practice right speech, then one can be free from the four types of immoral behavior manifested through speech that we talked about earlier. No lies, no instigation that will separate people, no harsh or crude language, no indulgence in frivolous and useless speech.
ပြီးတော့သမကမ္မတသီလမဲ့ခင်လည်းပါနေတယ်တမှုမှရှောင်ကျင်တယ်ခိုးမှုမှရှောင်ကျင်တယ်ကိုယ်ပိုင်နဲ့မိစ္ဆာစာရမှုမှရှောင်ကျင်တယ်ရှောင်ကျင်နေတော့ကောက်ကွေးတဲ့ဟာတွေကရှောင်ကျင်တော့ဖြောက်မှန်တဲ့ကိုယ်မူရာလေးတွေကောင်းလာတာပဲအဲ့ဒါသမကမ္မတပဲဒီဖြောက်မှန်တဲ့ကိုယ်မူရာရှိနေတဲ့၍ ကောက်ကောက်ကွေးကွေးကိုယ်ကောင်းဖြစ်နိုင်တဲ့ခုနစောစောပိုင်းကပြောခဲ့တဲ့ဘေးတွေမှာကင်းသွားတော့တာပဲ
The second factor is samakamanta, which means right action. Right action refers to exercising restraint. It's actually abstention from the three types of immoral behavior that we talked about earlier. There is abstention from taking life, from taking what is not given, from stealing, from robbing, from committing sexual misconduct, from adultery. If one is able to do this, able to abstain from such immoral behavior, then obviously one will be free from the dangers that we talked about earlier, which befall a person who walks on the crooked path.
ပြီးတော့မတရားအသက်မွေးမှုတွေလည်းပဲရှောင်နေတာပဲမတရားအသက်မွေးမှုရှောင်နေတော့သမ္မာအာជីဝဆိုတာဖြောက်မှန်တဲ့အသက်မွေးမှုတွေရှိနေတယ်။နဲ့အသက်မွေးမှုမရှိဘူးဆိုလို့ရှိရင်ကိုယ်ကိုယ်လည်းပြစ်တင်မယ်သူများလည်းပြစ်တင်မှာပဲအစိုးရခွင့်ပြုတယ်မမှန်တဲ့အသက်မွေးမှုရှိလို့ရှိရင်လည်းပဲဥပဒေနဲ့ရေးယူခံရမှာနောက်ဘဝလည်းပဲမသက်သာဘူး။အခုမဂ္ဂင်၈ပါးထဲမှာသမ္မာအာជីဝခေါ်တဲ့ဖြောက်မှန်တဲ့အသက်မွေးမှုတွေရှိနေတော့ကောက်ကွေ့တဲ့အသက်မွေးမှုကင်းတော့ဘေးရန်နေဒီမှာအလိုလိုကင်းသွားတာ
The third factor is right livelihood. If one is able to lead a decent livelihood, a right sort of livelihood that is free from any sort of blemish, it is not something that is considered illegal or unlawful by the government. It's not an occupation, not a livelihood that is immoral. Then one of course will then be free from all crooked types of occupations of livelihood. Thus one will be safe from the dangers befalling a person who walks the crooked path.
ဒီမဂ္ဂင်၈ပါးထဲမှာဒီသီလမဂ္ဂင်တွေပြည့်စုံနေရင်ကာယဝံကဆိုတာကိုယ်ကောက်ကြည့်မှုတွေဒါကင်းပြီးတော့သွားတာပဲအဲ့ဒါဥจุကပဲဒါဖြောက်မှန်တဲ့အကျင့်လန်းစဉ်ဆိုတာဒါပြောတာပဲအဲ့ဒါလို့ဆိုလို့ရှိရင်အကျဉ်းစားအတွင်းရံပေါ့လေကိလေသာတွေလည်းပဲငြိမ့်သွားတော့တာပဲအဲ့ဒါဒီမငြိမ့်ရင်ဘေးရန်လာမယ်အဲ့ဒါဒီငြိမ့်သွားတော့ဘေးရန်တွေလည်းအလိုလိုကင်းသွားတာဘေးတွေအလိုလိုကင်းသွားတယ်ရန်အေးလို့ရှိရင်ဘေးမရှိတော့ဘူး
When these three factors are complete, in other words, if one is able to maintain purity of conduct in these three aspects, then one will be free from crooked action, from crooked behavior. Being free from crooked behavior, one is able to keep at bay the very gross forms of kilesas. And actually, kilesas are our enemies. One can consider kilesas to be our enemies. If one is free from one's enemies, then one can be free from danger. Therefore, with the gross kilesas kept at bay, the dangers that follow too will no longer be able to affect us.
ဒီလိုမဲ့ကိရှိပါမှာသမာဓိခန္ဓာခေါ်တဲ့သမာဓိမဲ့ကိနေလည်းပါနေတယ်ပါဘုံကတော့မှန်စွာကြောင်းကြစိုက်တာမှန်စွာမှားရတာနဲ့မှန်စွာဆုစိုက်တာလက်တွေ့ပြောရလို့ရှိရင်အခုကိုယ်ရဲ့စိုက်တာလက်ငင်းပေါ်တဲ့အာယုံနဲ့ဆိုကြပါစို့ဝမ်းမဲ့စိတ်စိုက်ထားတယ်ဟောဖောင်းတက်လာတာလေးနဲ့ဒီရှုမှတ်တာလေးနဲ့တက်သွားအောင်အဲ့ဒီပေါ်မှာစိတ်ကလေးစူးစိုက်ပြီးတော့ကြာသွားအောင်ဖြောက်မှန်စွာကြောင်းရစိုက်ပြီးတဲ့သဘောလေးပါနေတယ်ရှုခွင့်မှာစိတ်ကလေးရောက်သွားအောင်ဖြောက်မှန်စွာတွန်းပို့တဲ့သဘောအားစိတ်တဲ့သဘောပါတယ်အဲ့ဒါသမာယောမဲ့ခင်ခေါ်တယ်အဲ့ဒီမဲ့ခင်ရှိနေကိလေသာလက်မခံပယ်လာလိုက်တက်တန်တာကြောင်းရစိုက်ပေးနေတော့အဲ့ဒီအာယုံလေးတွေကိုမလွတ်တမ်းဖြောက်မှန်စွာမှတ်နိုင်တာသမာဓိမဲ့ခင်လေးဖြစ်လာတယ်အဲ့ဒီမဲ့ခင်လေးဖြစ်လာရင်စိတ်စဉ်ကိလေသာမဝင်ရအောင်သူကပိတ်ဆို့ပေးလိုက်တယ်ဆွေးမြဲစွာရှုမိရအာရုံမှာစုကလေးစိုက်ကလေးကတ်ကလေးကြာတာစိတ်ကလေးစူးစီးမိသွားတာအဲ့ဒါသမာဓိမဲ့ခင်ပဲသူဖြစ်လာတဲ့အခါမှာစိတ်ဟာပြန်ကျဲပြီးတော့အခြေအနေပျက်စီးသွားတာမရှိဘူးဟိုရောက်ဒီရောက်နှစ်ရောက်ရခတ်တာမရှိဘူးပူပန်တာမျိုးလည်းမရှိဘူးငြိမ့်ပြီးတော့ဒီထဲမှာတစ်ခါတည်းဝတ်ကြသွားတာပဲဒီတော့ဖြောက်မှန်တဲ့အားဆိုင်မှုဖြောက်မှန်တဲ့အမှားရမှုနဲ့ဖြောက်မှန်တဲ့စူးစိုက်တည်ကြည်မှုရှိနေရင်မနောဝံကခေါ်တဲ့မနောဒုစိတတရားတွေအဲ့ဒါတွေကင်းနေတော့တာပဲအဲ့ဒါတွေကင်းနေရင်စိတ်ကလေးတွေကြီးပြီးတော့ထူးထူးခြားခြားတီးလာတာပဲခုမဲ့ရှိပါမှာအဲ့ဒါတွေပါပါတယ်ဒီလာသမာဓိမဲ့ကင်းတွေပါပါတယ်အကောက်အကွေတွေစိတ်အကောက်အကွေတွေဘာမှမရှိတော့ဒီခါမှာ
We come next to the Samadhi group, the group of concentration, the concentration group rather, of the Eightfold Noble Path. And there are three factors involved. The first one is right effort, the second is right mindfulness, and the third, right concentration. This part of the Eightfold Noble Path should be very familiar to all of you. Right effort can be seen, for example, when you are trying your level best to concentrate, or rather to focus your attention, to keep your attention on the belly, trying to watch the rise and fall of the abdomen. The effort you make to keep your attention there, on the rise, on the belly, it has the power of discarding or putting aside the kilesas. As long as you are activating this as long as you are activating this persistent and persevering sort of effort to keep your attention on the rise and fall, then you will not be assaulted by any of the kilesas of greed or hatred or delusion and so forth. You are keeping the kilesas at bay. You are putting them aside. With that effort well put forth, mindfulness will be able to arise, or rather, mindfulness will be efficiently activated too. When effort is there, mindfulness will be able to note or observe the object of meditation. When that happens, mindfulness acts as a protector. It closes the door to the kilesas. Effort pushes the kilesas away, discards them, puts them aside. And mindfulness closes the door so that the kilesas will not be able to enter. With effort and mindfulness well developed, then the mind becomes collected, focused, as it penetrates and stays put on the object of our meditation on a momentary basis. The mind, at that point, is able to stay right on that object for that moment without being scattered, without dissipating. There is collectedness of mind, there is one-pointedness of mind, there is concentration. With these three factors of effort, mindfulness and concentration present, we say that this samadhi group, this concentration group of the Eightfold Noble Path is present, is well developed. As you can see then, with effort, discarding the kilesas, and mindfulness, closing the door, and concentration, collecting the mind together so that it does not scatter, the kilesas are kept at a very remote distance. We also talked earlier on crookedness of mind and how the crooked mind refers to all forms of kilesas. When the kilesas are thus kept at bay, the crooked mind too will not be able to occur. And therefore, this group, this samadhi group in the Eightfold Noble Path has also that virtue of straightness, precisely because it is opposed to that crookedness of mind.
Samadhi khanda khore samadhiတရားတွေစက္ကန့်တိုင်းပြည့်စုံနေလို့ရှိရင်ဥပမာပြ10မိနစ်မှာဆိုရင်စက္ကန့်ပေါင်း60 10မိနစ်စက္ကန့်တိုင်းပြည့်ဝစွာမှတ်နိုင်ရင်အချိန်ပေါင်း60ပဲမနောဝင်ကတရားတွေပေါ့လေခင်းသွားတာစိတ်ဓာတ်တွေဖြောက်မှန်နေတာတဏှာကြီးဆိုလို့ရှိရင်စက္ကန့်ပေါင်း3600ပဲနိုင်မှတ်နိုင်တဏှာကြီးကနေ2နာရီစသည်တွက်ကြည့်ပေါ့လေမနောဝင်ကတွေခင်းပြီးတော့စိတ်ဓာတ်လေးတွေဟာဘယ်လောက်ဖြောင်ပြူးနေသလဲဆိုတာတွက်ကြည့်ပေါ့အဲ့ဒါလမ်းမှန်လျှောက်နေတာပဲလမ်းဖြောက်လျှောက်နေတာပဲ
If one is able to continue activating this samadhi group from moment to moment, and assuming that a moment here coincides with 1 second, then you can imagine that within a minute, there are 60 seconds or 60 moments of that quality of mind, which is completely free from crookedness of mind. Every second counts. Every moment is very important. A minute, 60 moments. 2 minutes, 120 moments. And you can keep on counting Imagine how many thousands of moments you would be activating within an hour of impeccable continuity of mindfulness. And all those time, during that whole period, during those moments, you are free from crookedness of mind. You are walking this Eightfold Noble Path that is helping to develop a straightness of mind.
ပြီးတော့အာယုန်နဲ့မစိတ်နဲ့ချိန်တဲ့နေတာသမစင်္ကပ္ပခေါ်တဲ့ရွယ်စုချက်ကပါနေတော့အမြဲတမ်းရှုစရာလေးနဲ့ရှုတာလေးနဲ့တဲ့နေတာတဲ့ကြာသွားတော့သဘောမှန်လေးတွေပေါ်မှာတဲ့ကြာသွားလို့ရှိရင်ယုံနာနေပေါ်မှာတဲ့ကြာသွားလို့ရှိရင်ရုပ်ရည်နာရည်ပိုင်းခြားသိလာတယ်အကြောင်းနဲ့အကျိုးပေါ်မှာရှိမှတဲ့စိတ်ကလေးကတဲ့ကြနေရွယ်စုချက်မှန်လို့တဲ့ကြနေလို့ရှိရင်ကြောင်းကျိုးတွေသိလာတာပဲကြောင်းကျိုးစိတ်တရားတွေပေါ်မှာမြဲပုံဆင်းရဲပုံသူသဘောတိုက်သူဖြစ်ပုံမှာတဲ့ကြနေမမြဲတာတွေဆင်းရဲသူသဘောတိုက်သူဖြစ်တာတွေသိနေတာဒီနည်းနဲ့ပဲပညာမဲ့ခင်တွေဖြစ်နေတာအာယုန်နဲ့မစိတ်နဲ့ရွယ်စုချက်တဲ့သလောက်အသိပညာတွေဖြစ်လာပြီဆိုလို့ရှိရင်ခေါဏမနောဝင်ကရဲ့မျိုးအနုတ္တိယဓာတ်ပေါ့လေကောက်ပွေဖို့ရန်အတွက်မျိုးအနေနဲ့ကိန်းနေတဲ့အမနာနုနေတဲ့ကိလေသာတွေအကောက်တည်းရဲ့မျိုးတွေပေါ့လေအဲ့ဒီမျိုးတွေပါတခါတည်းကင်းသွားတာတိတ်ကိုဖြောင်ဆင်းသွားတာတစ်ချက်တည်းရင်တစ်ချက်မျိုးတွေကုန်သွားတာနှစ်ချက်တည်းနှစ်ချက်မျိုးတွေကုန်သွားတာပဲဒီမှာအရိယာမဖြစ်တဲ့အခါမှာတော့အပြတ်ကုန်သွားတာပေါ့လေအခုဝိပဿနာခိုက်တာမှာတော့အချိန်ပိုင်းလေးတွေကုန်နေတာပြတ်နေတာ
With every moment of effort, mindfulness and concentration, you can observe that the mind falls on target, falls on the object of meditation. There is right aim. And this is the factor, the first factor in the group, the wisdom group of the Eightfold Noble Path. Right aim. The mind is accurately aimed at the object of meditation. When the mind falls, for example, on mind and matter, then wisdom will arise. There will be the right view of phenomena as they truly are. There is mind and there is matter. And if the mind falls on target, falls on the target of conditionality, then wisdom will arise, perceiving the mechanism of cause and effect, relating all the mental and physical phenomena that are happening. If the mind falls on impermanence, on the characteristic of impermanence, or of suffering, or of selflessness, then the wisdom that arises will be able to perceive those characteristics. And you can see, therefore, that with right aim, wisdom arises. And there is these two factors of right aim and right view are accomplished. The right view, that has been brought into existence through right aim has the power of uprooting the seed of the crooked mind. The seed of the crooked mind can be uprooted from moment to moment on a momentary basis when there is wisdom. This is very special in the sense that the seed of the crooked mind refers actually to very, very subtle kilesas. And these subtle kilesas, latent kilesas, can only be overcome, uprooted on a momentary basis by this wisdom.
အဲ့ဒီလိုမဂ္ဂင်7ပါးကျင့်တရားမှာကာယဒုစရိုက်အစရှိတဲ့အကောက်တရားတွေပေါ့လေလုံးဝမရှိတာလုံးဝမရှိတဲ့အတွက်ခုနသီလသမာဓိပညာကျင့်တရားတွေနဲ့ပယ်ဖြတ်ခြင်းအဖြစ်မရလိုက်တော့ဘူးရလိုက်တော့ဒါဖြောက်နေတာပဲအဲ့ဒီဖြောက်နေတဲ့အကျင့်ကိုဥကျုကဖြောက်မှန်တဲ့အကျင့်ပဲတဲ့အဲ့ဒီမဂ္ဂင်7ပါးအဲ့ဒါဖြောက်မှန်တဲ့အကျင့်ပဲဘေးကင်းတဲ့နေစီဖြောက်ရောင်ရောက်ဖို့ရအတွက်အဲ့ဒီအကျင့်ပဲတဲ့မြတ်စွာဘုရားညွှန်ကြတာဒါရည်ရွယ်ပြီးတော့ညွှန်ကြတာပါပဲဒီနေ့ဒါပဲတွေ့ကြအောင်စို့အဲ့ဒါမှဘေးကင်းပုံလေးတွေဆက်ပြီးပြောပါမယ်
Perhaps by now you can begin to understand why this Eightfold Noble Path is called the straight path. For the crookedness of body, of bodily behavior, the crookedness of speech and the crookedness of mind are overcome or are transcended by the practice of this threefold training of sila, samadhi and panya, which can be found in the Eightfold Noble Path. And because one walks on this Eightfold Noble Path in a straight way that transcends the crookedness of body, speech and mind, one is also free from danger. Sayadaw will continue to talk about such dangers tomorrow. And this will be all for today.